Next, we'll be talking about AI agents. So there's been a lot of recent hype on AI agents and what they can do and all the different things they can automate. Now, the first important thing to cover about agents is that the history of AI agents actually is a bit like the history of NLP. So AI agents aren't something that were just created, a few months ago or a few years ago even. There's quite a long history about AI agents. And they also sort of have a history of like simple rule-based systems, then becoming a bit more statistical or probabilistic, and more recently with machine learning, reinforcement learning, as well as fine-tuned models, becoming a lot more generative in sort of 2023, 24 onwards. There's three sort of technical criteria. I won't dwell on them too much, but it's useful to know they're getting bigger in the parameter space, so these models have more and more parameters. They're also becoming a lot more general, typically, so they can do different types of things really well, as well as cost. Many of them are getting cheaper, but the overall cost for the people hosting these models actually is increasing because the model size is getting larger. Now, what are AI agents? Essentially, AI agents are autonomous pieces of software that can do tasks for you in a way that traditional software can't. Now, what I mean with that is they have some sense of autonomy or agency, for want of a better word. And they can have specific perception or action cycles. They can have some planning loops, as well as some declarative memory, and we'll go into different types of memory, but some sort of memory of what it has done, and then ability to even in many cases collaborate with other agents. So essentially there's a sort of environment loop where an AI agent can do something in the environment, and then from that environment an AI agent gets some feedback, and then they can sort of continue in this cycle to do essentially your bidding in an autonomous way. The important thing is there is a continuum. An AI agent that is shoehorned too much and told explicitly to do what a user wants it to do is not really an AI agent. That's just a program. It's like a set of if-then conditions. However, an AI agent that's completely let loose without any guardrails technically could be an AI agent, but might not be a very useful one or even a very safe one, because it might do a certain set of actions that you might not want it to do. So AI agents have a long history from essentially reflex agents to reinforcement learning in the sort of early 2000s. Reflex agents, essentially from the 60s and 70s, were agents with a lot of if-then conditions. If something happens, do something else. And these agents were very useful in the 80s and 90s for large CRM systems, customer relationship management systems, where depending on, let's say, a specific segment a customer was in, or a specific age band a customer was in, an AI agent would do a very specific task. Those have been, quite prominent and actually have been used, and a lot of people these days wouldn't call them necessarily AI agents, but when they were introduced around the 90s, they were called AI agents. Then you had more goal-directed agents over the years, and finally RL, or reinforcement learning, really became a lot more prevalent in the 2000s as people were solving robotics and games challenges using RL. So a famous moment was DeepMind's moment where they were using reinforcement learning for playing Go, very famous game. So AlphaGo you might have heard of, didn't just use reinforcement learning, but essentially it was an AI agent that used a lot of techniques, including RL, to be sort of superhuman at this game called Go.